Hi ladies, gents, today is the conclusion of our women's conversation on The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. The conclusion is very exciting because it's kind of a summary of everything we've seen so far, and the points are very precisely, clearly stated, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. It starts with a quote by Jules Laforgue. So Jules Laforgue wrote a book called Sur la femme, and it's from 1860. Okay, so in this book, he says, "No, woman is not our brother. Through negligence and corruption, we have made her a being apart, unknown, having no weapon but her sex, which is not only perpetual war, but in addition an unfair weapon." Many men would still subscribe to these words. Simone de Beauvoir says, "The fact is that neither men nor women are satisfied with each other today. But the question is whether it is an original curse that condemns them to tear each other apart, or whether the conflicts that pit them against each other express a transitory moment in human history." So is this opposition that we are experiencing right now circumstantial, or is it inherent? We have seen that in spite of legends, no physiological destiny imposes eternal hostility on the male and female. So physiologically, we are not in opposition. We don't have anything that would require us to be hostile to one another. Even with the greatest bad faith in the world, it's impossible to detect a rivalry between the male and the female human that is specifically physiological. And so their hostility is located in psychoanalysis. Now this can get a little bit obtuse because, you know, philosophical texts on psychoanalysis. So the battle of the sexes, in brief, is not determined or immediately implied by the anatomy of man and woman. The woman confined to immanence, that is to passivity, tries to keep man in this prison as well. She does her utmost to mutilate, to dominate man. She contradicts him. She denies his truth and values. So she that is inferior, she wants the other one to also experience that inferiority. So she tries to contradict him, argue with him, and this still happens a lot. And it's always because of this resentment feeling, right? All oppression creates a state of war. This particular case is no exception. That's really important to notice, that you can act like this is not happening, but the fact is it's happening and it's creating a state of war, and that's why there's so much hostility and resentment, and it's coming out in all these other ways. Today, the combat is taking another form. The woman no longer seeks to drag him into the realms of immanence, but to emerge into the light of transcendence. So we are not so preoccupied with dragging him down. We are a lot more focused right now on getting ourselves up. The male attitude here creates a new conflict. The man dumps the woman, so he doesn't admit that. He is pleased to remain the sovereign subject. He refuses to consider his companion concretely as equal. She responds to his defiance by an aggressive attitude. When the man is not okay with letting the woman become as important as him, she fights back, reacts, and becomes aggressive. The difference in attitude is manifest on the sexual as well as the spiritual level. The feminine woman, by becoming a passive prey, tries to reduce the male to carnal passivity as well. She works at entrapping him, at imprisoning him by the desire she arouses. That means that women are trying to trap the man. I don't want to say trick them, but somehow to hold him by the desire that we know that we arouse in him. By making ourselves a thing, we are also making him a thing. He's just a carnal body also that wants sex. The emancipated woman, on the contrary, wants to be active and refuses the passivity that the man intends to impose on her. The modern woman accepts masculine values. She prides herself on thinking, acting, working, and creating on the same basis as males, instead of trying to disrespect them. She declares herself their equal. So the modern woman likes all these male values and she wants to be able to have them herself. The woman is right to ask for this. This claim is legitimate as long as it is expressed in concrete ways. However, in the defense of men, it must be said that women themselves tend to confuse the issue. Many women strive to secure masculine support through sex. So they play both sides. They demand both old-fashioned respect, gallantry, and modern esteem. This is the problem that we're encountering nowadays. It is understandable that the irritated man should go on the defensive. So when a woman tries to play both camps, she wants to be the classic woman and she wants to get all those privileges, but now she also wants to be the modern woman and she wants to get all that respect. However, the man is also wrong when he demands that the woman play the game loyally, whereas he refuses to grant her indispensable trump cards. So the reality is that our circumstances are not equal, so we can't play this game in equal circumstances when there's already injustice to begin with. In reality, the struggle between them cannot be clear-cut, since woman does not stand in front of a man as a subject. This is the whole thing that we've seen about the woman not considering herself important enough to be self-sufficient. She still considers herself that she depends on the man, therefore she can't really play this game equally. She assumes herself as both self and other, which is a contradiction with disconcerting consequences. That's another really important point, because the woman on one hand, you know, me as a woman, it's me for myself is the most important thing. I consider myself kind of the center of the world, just like we all consider ourselves. But on the other hand, I also consider myself sort of an enemy of humanity, as an other being, because I am the other to the man, and the man is everything nowadays. It's the neutral, it's humanity. So I consider myself these two things. On one hand, I am the utmost godlike center of the universe. On the other hand, I am the other. It's contradictory, it's confusing. When she makes a weapon of both her weakness and her strength, it's not a deliberate calculation. She's spontaneously seeking her salvation in the path imposed on her, that of passivity, and at the same time, she is actively demanding her sovereignty. So at the same time, she wants to rule, but she's also assuming the parts that she's been given, which is a contradiction. So we use our weaknesses as a weapon, really. This process is undoubtedly not fair play, but it is dictated by the ambiguous situation assigned to her. Man, though, when he treats her like a freedom, is indignant that she is still a trap for him. While he flatters and satisfies her in her role as his prey, he gets annoyed at her claims to autonomy. Whatever he does, he feels duped and she feels wronged. So neither of us are really getting what we want, because what we want is so complex and so dependent on history. The man, if he accepts that we are free, like men do nowadays, right now men are very confused because they all agree that we are equal. They all agree to give us the same privileges and opportunities, but the fact is it's still not the same. These things, they're gonna take time, and we are changing them and men are being great about it, but we just have to understand that it's not equal and it's not going to be like that. It's just going to take a moment to shift into place. And if it does shift, it's going to be a really big shift